Chapter 1221. Alright, I agree to. Of course, it wasn't that they genuinely did not want those props anymore. Lin Che was merely letting them know that it was easier to call up an evil spirit than to allay it. Since they had taken the props, it would not be easy for them to put them back. As expected, they begged for forgiveness the whole time they were outside waiting. They were finally informed after a long time that they could go after putting the props down. Afterward, they hastily ran off with their tail between their legs. After returning to the set, they were even berated by Starlight for embarrassing the company for no reason at all. To begin with, things had been very tense between the two companies for some time. But look at the situation now. They had been suppressed to a large degree in such a short time. We didn't expect a little girl like Lin Che to be so unforgiving. Exactly, she wasn't afraid that we would actually take those props away, they complained after going back. Someone said, isn't it because she has Gu Jingze to support her? You guys didn't think it through either. You chose to look for trouble when Gu Jingze was around. Why didn't you think about who would dare offend Gu Jingze? In any case, they had run into a wall abruptly this time. For a long time after their return, they didn't dare to have any more run-ins with Lin Che's production crew. Su Wan looked at Gu Jingze from outside. She wanted to approach him but worried about it for some time. Gu Jingze's assistant was presently looking at her. Seeing that Su Wan was here, he even wanted to chase her away. Don't loiter around here, can't you see that Jingze is inside? Everyone in the production crew probably knew that Gu Jingze did not like talking to people. When he was not the one initiating conversation, it was useless for anyone to approach him and speak to him no matter who it was. Su Wan said, oh, okay then. She was just about to turn around when Gu Jingze came. Let her in. The assistant pointed to Su Wan. Let her in. The assistant glanced at Su Wan meaningfully. What was special about this woman? Gu Jingze looked at Su Wan. Is anything the matter? Su Wan said, this piece of clothing. She handed the clothes over to him and continued, the last time, I accidentally left while wearing this. Gu Jingze swept his eyes over it. Then, he reached his hand out to take it from her. However, he tossed it straight into the garbage bin at the side. Su Wan froze. She frantically stooped down to pick it up. What are you doing? How could he casually throw away something so expensive? However, before she could stand up, he had already gripped her wrist. He slowly moved his face closer to hers. Outside, his assistant was nearly shocked out of his wits. When he saw Gu Jingze facing Su Wan in such close proximity as if they were about to kiss, he was so frightened that he hastily pulled down the blinds. He looked at the people outside and did not allow anyone to get close. Inside, Su Wan could not help but blush. As she looked into Gu Jingze's abysmal eyes, which were so black and so big she felt as if she was going to be sucked in. She took in a deep breath, feeling a bit oxygen deprived. Gu Jingze asked, how do you plan to return me the money for today? What? Su Wan asked, the money. You broke the prop, don't you need to pay for it? Indeed, she had to. Su Wan's throat immediately closed up. She understood that it was a huge sum of money that she definitely could not afford to pay. Now, Gu Jingze had helped her pay it. But she could not let just Gu Jingze pay without returning him the money either. She looked at Gu Jingze. In that case, why don't I work for you and slowly return you the money? Sorry, I don't have much patience to wait for a few $1,000s a month, he said. So, I won't ask you for the money. But you must keep me company for 100 days. Su Wan said, you're doing this on purpose. Gu Jingze was very frank about it too. You can consider it deliberate on my part indeed. But you can't pay back the money you owe me now either. Why don't, he immediately moved slightly closer to her. Why don't I make public the fact that you begged for my help? At that time, take a guess about whether you'll end up in a miserable state. Su Wan's face turned deathly pale. Gu Jingze said, 100 days. Think about it on your own. If you agree, I'll let you move in tonight. Otherwise, I'll release the news right now. Gu Jingze was about to walk outside while saying this. Hey. Su-won quickly pulled him back. Don't go. So, you agree? Gu Jingze turned his head back. Su-won merely looked at him. Could she disagree even if she wanted to? But there's someone else I like. Doesn't it bother you? Hearing this, Gu Jingze scoffed internally. So she liked someone else. Very good, very good. He said, after 100 days, you can look for the person you like. But now, you belong to me only. Then, can you guarantee that you won't bother me again after 100 days? Gu Jingze nodded. Do you think I'll still want to bother you after 100 days? Su-won knew that she was thinking too much. She nodded. All right, I agree with it. Gu Jingze had someone he liked too. But all rich people were probably the same. She felt a bit disgusted. But how could she dare to let people know about her relationship with Gu Jingze? If they found out, she would not be able to make anything of herself in this industry for the rest of her life. She had not even graduated from the drama academy. There was no way she could resign herself to giving up just like this and walking another path. The expression on Gu Jingze's face finally relaxed. He looked at her and said, I'll go to your dorm tonight to pick you up. Ah, no need. Tell me the address and I'll go over. I said that I would pick you up, so I will. Just wait. Su-won knew that she was not in a position to say anything, so she had no choice but to quietly shut her mouth. Kilogram's entire team was currently busying about. The game had ended its beta testing and had officially launched. They heaved a sigh of relief before they immediately started busying about again. Everyone went for a dinner gathering that night. They had found a pretty good restaurant outside to eat and drink their fill this time. They considered it their day off and would continue working tomorrow. Kai Sheng allocated a few more staff to them. Their own studio was planning to hire a few more employees to help out with other miscellaneous matters. The business had started up so quickly and at such a high level of success. The university students all felt so buoyant at the moment, finding it hard to believe. After they drank until they were in a state of confusion, they then headed to their respective homes. Those who lived in B City were planning to head straight home, while the others still had to go back to the dorm. Both Chen Wei and Crooked Neck were B City locals, but Crooked Neck could not be bothered to go home. Chen Wei took the subway home alone. Although he now had taken quite a lot of money ever since the game had gone online, he did not have much savings. He had not had time to deal with other things either, and so he did not have a car yet. After taking the subway and reaching his house, he had yet to go upstairs when he suddenly saw a flashy blue Maserati parked at the side. Chen Hui's eyes lit up. He sighed to himself in awe, wondering when he would be able to buy one. Just then, he saw someone walk out from behind the car. Is the car beautiful? Chen Wei was a bit drunk. Shocked, he turned around and asked, Who are you? The person who had approached him was a woman dressed in office wear. If you like the car, I'll give it to you. 1222 Unfinished business. What? Chen Wei immediately went into a daze. She smiled immediately and said, I know that you guys are making a game. I also know that you've earned a bit of money from the game. But you must bear in mind that the game belongs to KG. It doesn't have much to do with you. You merely helped out a bit. You didn't get as much profit as KG did. Your status isn't as high as KG's either. Some of the credit was even taken by Crooked Neck. Just like you, he didn't do anything too. But because he has the gift of the gab and is on very good terms with KG, he got more than you did. Chen Hui's heart clenched. You don't have to come here and try to drive a wedge between us. I won't fall for it. I also know that whatever I say means nothing. But we never do meaningless things. I can tell you that we're from GU Industries. You can go and ask how big the GU Industries is. What can compare to GU Industries? Our boss is a member of the GU family. This is the biggest guarantee. And we can give you all these things now. This is only the start. In the future, the more we get, the more you will get too. We're not only giving you this car. We're also giving you this. She handed a key to him. The house is in the Ansha district. It's just in front. You can see it from here. That high-class area. Chen Hui's eyes widened even more. That district. It was a newly constructed high-class district. It was so many times better than these districts. In the present B city, where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold, such a big district that even had such a beautiful environment and good schools in the area was destined to have sky-high prices. Chen Wei then thought about where he was staying at the moment. It was an old residential estate in B city. The building was a lopsided old-fashioned building. Everyone kept saying that it was going to be demolished to make way for new developments, but many years had passed and no one came to demolish it. To date, there was still no market for it, even though it had value. It was depressing. At the very least, he had the money right now, but he was still staying in this dilapidated place. He felt a strong sense of dissonance. And the district in front of him, it was worth 80,000 per square meter. With the money he had now, he definitely had to save for a few years before he could afford it. A few years. How far away was that? Right now, to him, this was really way too tempting. But, KG and the others. As he looked at the person in front of him, he genuinely felt extremely despondent. The woman in front of him said, "We're not asking you to sell the game to us. You don't have that ability either. We just want you to cooperate with us when necessary. It won't be anything too difficult. It will definitely be easy. If you've made your decision, then take this." Just like that, she placed the cold key in his palm. He looked down at it. Immediately, his heart seemed to feel so full. Meanwhile, Lin Che was at home carrying her child and playing with her while looking at the game interface. The game interface was open, but she was not playing it. At the side, Gu Jingze was reading a book. This way, the two of them did not disturb each other at all, but were so harmonious at the same time. When Lin Che saw Gu Jingze go online for a bit before going offline, she then recalled what had happened today. There was really something wrong with Gu Jingze today. Gu Jingze looked up. What happened? I feel like he's dating someone. Sure enough, she had Gu Jingze's interest. Is that so? I really think so. Recently, Gu Jingze has been a little out of it. He seems a bit strange. I suspect that this is a sign that he's in love. Gu Jingze said, "Ha! I can't believe that flowers can bloom on a sago palm." Hey, that's your younger brother you're talking about. Gu Jingze stood up and walked towards her. Was this little woman standing up for another man right now? He leaned in close and swiftly pulled Lin Che towards him. Lin Che let out a sound of surprise before falling into his embrace. She quickly looked at the baby. Don't mess around. Xiuan is watching. Gu Jingze said, she's still small. She won't understand. Quote. No, even so, we can't. However, before she could finish her sentence, her mouth was immediately blocked by his. The initially gentle kiss was deepened little by little. Lin Che still resisted at first. But she slowly lost the will to resist as well. Seriously, no matter how much time passed, she still sank into his kiss so easily. Gu Jingze slowly pushed her onto the couch. The child was playing while sitting on the carpet. It was true that she was not even looking at what her own parents were doing. But Lin Che nevertheless felt slightly nervous. She kept looking in Xiuan's direction as she pushed Gu Jingze away. Gu Jingze, what are you doing? No. Focus. He looked down at her and pressed his lips to hers once again. She let out a whimper, feeling his body press down on hers with its air of masculinity. In no time, it filled all her thoughts. At times like these, Gu Jingze was always unbelievably overbearing. Any rejection would simply be swallowed up by him. She pushed him away with her arms, but they seemed to be extremely slow. They were completely useless. They were soft, just like cotton. Oh, he was too unreasonable. However, when his hand moved downwards. Outside, someone suddenly knocked on the door and said, "Sir, madam." All of a sudden, Lin Che felt too ashamed to face anyone. Although the person who came in went out immediately, Lin Che still felt her heart stop abruptly. She lay there, not wanting to live anymore. Gu Jingze narrowed his eyes. He first straightened out Lin Che's clothes for her. His face was filled with displeasure from not having satisfied his lust. He walked out as if he was about to kill someone. Lin Che covered her face before looking at the side. Xiuan happened to be looking at her as if she had understood something. Good lord, That damned Gu Jingze. He only knew to tempt her every day. Look at the situation now. It was way too embarrassing. Outside, the maid felt as if death was near. She had behaved impudently only because she knew that Miss Xiuan was inside. Who could have expected that the master of their household, who was so patient, was simply a ferocious beast in front of their madam? She did not even dare to look up when she saw Gu Jingze come out with such a foul expression on his face. What happened? Although Gu Jingze's voice was calm, it was obviously laced with anger. A man whose lust had not been satisfied was indeed very terrifying. The maid hastily said, "Sir, we have news from the headquarters." Gu Jingze paused for a moment before waving his hand for the maid to get the document. He received the news in the form of a confidential letter. When he looked down at it, his expression turned even stiffer all of a sudden. Lin Che walked out and saw his facial expression. What's wrong? Did something happen? Looking from where she was, she saw that the letter was filled with strange symbols. She did not understand them at all. He said, "It's a secret message unique to the Gu family." A secret message? Yes, something has indeed happened. I have to go and settle it. You can go to bed first. Lin Che started to panic. Will there be any danger? No. I don't believe you. Gu Jingze smiled and pecked her on the forehead. When I come back, we'll continue what we didn't finish earlier. Be a good girl. At a time like this, he was still behaving so frivolously. 12:23 Something had happened. In a private room in the Gu Industries headquarters. After Gu Jingze entered, the people inside stood up one after another solemnly and respectfully. How long has he been missing? He shrugged his coat off and tossed it onto his chair. A chill burst forth on his well-defined face. According to the maids, Master Gu had arranged to play mahjong with someone. He did not return after going out. His group of mahjong friends also said that Master Gu did not even go over. Gu Qigong had gone missing. And at the moment, no one knew where Gu Qigong had gone. Gu Jingze looked at the people in the private room. Everyone who knows about this matter is in this room today. All of you are my trusted aides. Even if you're scattered in different areas of the Gu family, all of you are my people. You should know what to do to the outsiders. Yes, Master. The head of the Gu family had his own group of trusted aides. These people had been the trusted aides for years on end. It was only after becoming the head of the Gu family that one could know their names and their positions. If not for this incident, to date, they themselves would not even know who else was part of the group. And the few people who had gathered here today were but a part of the group. Their positions were inherited from their forefathers. Since they were born, each of them knew their future position. Of course, they usually lived like ordinary people. But the moment something happened, they would absolutely be loyal followers of the head of the Gu family. At the moment, they were known by the name, M. Back then, they had been collectively called, Man Chin. Subsequently, when the modern era arrived, their name was changed to a simpler one. Today, Gu Jingze had gathered a few of them here because of Gu Qigong's sudden disappearance. Father gave most of his personal guards and shadow guards to Nianian and did not have many by his side. But if someone wanted to take father away from his shadow guards and personal guards, it must be someone from the Gu family, Gu Jingze said. The others said in astonishment, "So, Master suspects that this was the doing of those clan relatives." That's right. Causing trouble at a time like this was to be expected. But he could not believe that they had used a method like this. Gu Qigong. There was no doubt that he was his father. But he was also a very unusual father. He had never even assumed the role of a father for a few days in Gu Jingze's life. But at the same time, he was indeed Gu Jingze's father by blood. Master, in that case, what do you want us to do now? Gu Jingze looked outside. Save him. Lin Che was still waiting in the room. However, Gu Jingze did not return even after a long time. She opened the door and called for Dongzi. Go and find out if anything urgent cropped up on Gu Jingze's end. Dongzi agreed and went out. She stood there with her hand holding her chin. She looked outside, unable to guess what had happened to make him leave abruptly in such an anxious manner. Right now, it was probably almost midnight. Mu Wanqing called her all of a sudden. Lin Che instantly felt that something was off. She picked up her phone. "Mother, why are you calling so late?" Over the phone, Mu Wanqing said, "Something happened, little Che." "What happened?" Let's meet up and talk about it. It's quite important." "Alright, in that case, I'll go over and meet you." "Don't go to the GU residence. Go to 36 Qinghe Road. It's a place owned by my family. No one else knows about it." Before marrying into the GU family, Mu Wanqing was also from a prominent family. While the Mu family was not a family like the GU family, it was nonetheless a family with a literary reputation. It had been a rich and powerful family for many years. They kept a low profile and were frugal. Lin Che arrived and saw that Mu Wanqing was already waiting there. Lin Che walked in hurriedly. "Mother, what happened that's so serious?" Mu Wanqing stood up and said, "I was worried that someone would have wiretapped our phone line. After all, that would be a little unsafe." "What?" Lin Che instantly felt a stronger sense that the situation was quite serious. Mu Wanqing said, "Jingze's father went missing yesterday." While saying this, Mu Wanqing's eyes had already turned completely bloodshot. Lin Che was even more surprised. "Father has gone missing." There was a catch in Mu Wanqing's voice, but she concealed it. She looked up and continued, "But Jingze went on a search for him today. Right now, he has fallen into a trap." Lin Che's heart stopped. Gu Jingze is in danger. "That's right. We don't even know where his subordinates have gone. We only know that after falling into a trap, he managed to escape. He brought more than 10 personal guards with him, but they've been completely wiped out. However, they haven't found Jingze. Jingze has escaped. We just don't know where he is now." How could this have happened? Lin Che's heart beat so fast that it seemed as if it was about to jump out of her throat. Mu Wanqing said, "The only person I can trust now is you, little Che. What should we do now? If anything happens to Jingze, I don't want to live either. It's all my fault. I allowed Jingze to put his life on the line to save Qigong. But in the end, he didn't manage to save him." Mu Wanqing seemed to have broken down completely. She sat there looking completely battered out of her senses. She could no longer even speak clearly. For a moment, Lin Che's mind was a mess. However, she looked at Mu Wanqing, lowered her head, and lifted Mu Wanqing's hand. "Mother, it's pointless to think about these things now. That's our father. Even if it wasn't for you, he would still have gone to save him. Because he's Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze was simply such a good father, a good son, and a good husband." Lin Che pondered for a bit. "Well then, does the Gu family already know about Gu Jingze's disappearance?" "Yes, the clan relatives have gone into a frenzy." "In that case, at the moment, does anyone know who did it?" "I don't know." Lin Che said, "To have such intimate knowledge of the Gu family's movements and to even be able to trap Gu Jingze, I suspect it was the doing of the Gu family's clan relatives." Mu Wanqing looked up immediately. "Then what should we do now?" "Mother, we have to return to the Gu family. Although Gu Jingze has gone missing, you're still the mistress of the Gu family. I'll go back with you." Mu Wanqing looked at Lin Che. Yes, she was still the mistress of the Gu family. She had to stay strong. Lin Che went out and said, "Dongzi, notify all the personal guards to assemble. We'll go home first before heading to the Gu residence." At a time like this, even if she was being pushed to do something way beyond her ability, she had to step forward nonetheless. They returned to the Gu residence. Lin Che looked at the people who had gathered at the entrance. "I know that all of you are Gu Jingze's personal guards. Right now, Gu Jingze is in danger and we're not sure if he's dead. But as long as he's alive, he will still continue to find his way back. All of you must wait for him together with me. Furthermore, before he comes back, we must help him protect his territory." Everyone looked at Lin Che. There was a hint of respect on their solemn faces. If it was someone else, they would not trust that person. But they knew what Lin Che meant to their master. Lin Che was not just someone else. She was the person whom Gu Jingze trusted and loved the most. So, in all the years that had passed, they themselves had actually already started trusting and respecting Lin Che very much. Lin Che had always been such a good person. Slowly, many people were imperceptibly influenced and were attracted to her. They were attracted to her personality. Even more so at this very moment. Everyone said in unison, "We are at your command." Lin Che's expression turned grave and stern as she looked at them. "All right, in that case, everyone, listen to my command now. 1224 It's not for you to elect the master." At the Gu residence, the clan relatives were still waiting in the central room. At the moment, the room was full of noise. Gu Shand was not around, nor was Gu Jingze. Even Mu Wanqing was not around. Everyone was currently talking amongst themselves. It was so noisy that it was like they were at a market. Right now, these wealthy people who were accustomed to this, nevertheless, seemed like uncles and aunts talking in a disorderly manner about the gossip that they knew. "I heard that he's already dead." "How can he possibly be dead? They haven't even found his corpse. They say that he went to a secret factory outside and is being controlled by someone using a chemical weapon. Otherwise, how could those personal guards have died so quickly?" But Gu Jingze is intelligent after all. He soon noticed that something was wrong and escaped. "Does that mean he's fine? Something may have happened to him too. But he's missing right now. Who knows what could be wrong with him? In that case, who's in charge of the Gu family right now? No one's here to take charge either." By then, inside the room, Shui Mengqi could no longer hold herself back. She looked in front and saw that no one was going up to speak. The entire room was a complete mess. At the side, the maids had already gone out of control and started to talk amongst themselves. Shui Mengqi murmured, "The master isn't here and neither is the mistress. What should we do now?" "Precisely, Mr. President didn't come either. Even if he's here, he's not the master. He can't take charge of many things. Furthermore, if he gets involved, it will affect him quite greatly. If others found out, it may affect his position as the president, so he has to think about this carefully." On the surface, Shui Mengqi appeared to hesitate for a moment. Then, as if she had no other choice, she drew in a breath and stood up all of a sudden. Everyone was sitting there and chatting when they suddenly saw someone stand up and walk towards the carved wooden chair in front, which the master usually sat on. Everyone's gazes shifted there. Shui Mengqi stood there and faced the people below. Seeing that it was her, everyone gradually seemed to consciously turn silent. Shui Mengqi cleared her throat before saying, "The Gu family has not been faced with such chaos for many years. This may be a heaven's test for the Gu family. It's a test to see if we can stay united right now and survive during these difficulties. Perhaps all of you have never experienced such a thing. But many years ago, there was immense unrest in the Shui family. I know that if everyone can unite at such a time, our relationship will be even better in the future. Because we've experienced something like this, we'll be able to get closer to one another. Thus, I hope that everyone can face this together instead of having mutual misgivings." Everyone looked at each other. Slight expressions of approval appeared on their faces. Shui Mengqi said, "Now that the master and mistress are both not around at the moment, we must remain calm nonetheless. We should find a way to help ourselves. I think." She spoke slowly. As she stood there and looked at all the clan relatives of the family gazing at herself, she thought of how she felt standing at the place where only the master and mistress used to stand. The passion and vigor she felt truly made her heart swell. The feeling of everyone treating her as their only guide was way too enjoyable. She felt like a king towering above everyone else. This feeling was so great. However, at this moment, all of a sudden, a commotion could be heard outside. Soon after, the crowd saw a row of security guards immediately fill the area outside the courtyard. Someone saw the security guards standing uniformly and cried out in surprise, "Aren't those Gu Jingze's guards? What, has he returned? Really?" Everyone immediately looked outside, leaving Shui Mengqi up there when she had not finished speaking. Shui Mengqi deflated. She glared outside furiously, only to see that many people had indeed gathered outside. They were currently filling up defensive positions in the Gu family's old residence in an orderly fashion. While everyone was confused, Lin Che slowly walked out from behind. She immediately stared at everyone. She did not bother about whether their gazes were disappointed or indignant or simply furious. She walked into the hall and immediately stood at the very front. All the personal guards who had followed her also stood behind her, trailing behind her at an appropriate distance. Lin Che swept her eyes across the people below and said to everyone, no need to worry. Even if Gu Jingze isn't here right now, we won't collapse either. Everything he left behind is still here. The rules that he set are still in force. Right now, all of you can pretty much continue to do what you've been doing. I've already arranged for someone to take over the headquarters. There's no need for all of you to worry. You can just go about your lives as usual. You don't have to gather here. Anxiety will only cause us to make more mistakes. Everyone can make their own way home now. If there's anything you want to know, you can come to the headquarters and ask me. After coming in, Lin Che started instructing them very efficiently. The moment she finished speaking, everyone started discussing even more. Why is she here? Exactly. What does she mean by this? Is she going to take charge now? Why do we need her here? Even if something happened to Jingze, she shouldn't be the one to take over. Precisely. Her surname isn't Gu either. She's an outsider but still wants to be in charge of us. Shui Mengqi was at the side. She had not enjoyed herself enough when she saw Lin Che unexpectedly arrive so swiftly. She immediately got so angry that she felt incredibly suffocated. Lin Che could understand everyone's skepticism. She waited for them to discuss for some time before she slowly smiled. If something is the matter, all of you can tell me directly. Hearing this, someone down below asked bluntly, why should you be the one taking over the headquarters? Lin Che said, Gu Jingze is my husband. He has gone missing and his whereabouts are unknown. Is there anything wrong with me taking over? Do you know what's in the headquarters? How can you take over? Lin Che said, the headquarters contain everything that Gu Jingze left behind. This includes his trusted aides and subordinates. I trust that the Gu family has gathered together all the capable people. It has never kept idle people around. Even if Gu Jingze isn't around, it's not as if they won't be able to support the Gu family. Ha, what a joke. So, do you mean that you won't do anything at all? That it's enough for you to just go over and oversee things? That's right. Ha 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 ha, you're really so naive. Oh, if I'm naive, then tell me. If I can't take over, are you going to take over? We will nominate someone ourselves to take over. Ha, historically, the mistress has been elected, so I won't say anything about that. But when did the master have to be chosen by all of you? Lin Che's gaze immediately turned sharp. It was so piercing that the person immediately seemed to suffer an electric shock. Her complexion went slightly pale and her voice instinctively turned weak as well. It's not as if the Gu family doesn't have descendants, such that we need you to find us a master. It's not as if my husband doesn't have children either, such that we need you to find us a child. Forget about my husband. Even without him, there's still his older brother and Gu Jingyu too. They're both still around. When was it ever your turn to nominate the master of the Gu family? The position of the head of the Gu family had always been inherited. The father would pass it on to his son and the son would pass it on to his grandson. The last master would decide to whom he would pass the position. It was definitely not something they could decide by an election just because they wanted to. Chapter 1225 I call the shots here now. The corners of Lin Che's lips turned up. The angle was just enough to show a hint of mockery. Although Nianian is still young, he's Gu Jingze's biological son. Putting aside the fact that Gu Jingze is only gone temporarily, even if he never returned, Nianian would naturally be the one to succeed him as the master of the Gu family. What are all of you trying to do? Are you bullying Nianian for his young age and me since I'm a woman too? Everyone was momentarily speechless. As for Lin Che, she had never contemplated giving them another chance to speak. Now, I'll take charge of Gu Jingze's personal guards for the time being. I'll also take charge of the master's guards temporarily. As usual, all matters will be handed to the headquarters to deal with. Each family's affairs will be dealt with as they have been. There's no need to change this. If anything crops up, let Qin Hao know about it and he will then pass it on to me. Anyone who disagrees can come to the headquarters and have a chat with me. She's going to take over just like that. What the hell? Why is it her? Everyone still had something to say. But they looked outside and saw Gu Jingze's personal guards looking straight ahead in complete silence. It seemed that they were now firmly in Lin Che's control. Gu Jingze's right-hand man, Qin Hao, was also beside them. Everyone else seemed to have immense trust in Lin Che. The people who used to be led by Gu Jingze were now tightly gathered around Lin Che, obeying her every command. They could not resist even if they wanted to. The row of people could only slowly disperse. Oh no, is the Gu family going to change its surname to Lin? Enough. Who could have expected Gu Jingze's subordinates, who are usually so intelligent, to band together now and side with Lin Che? I couldn't have known. She usually pretends that she knows nothing. But she has a way of winning people over. Indeed. Now, all of them obey her. After her, there's also her son, and her daughter too. What else can we do? At the moment, Shui Mengqi was still standing there desolately. However, she had long been forgotten completely and totally ignored. There was no way she could have imagined that Lin Che would put everything to rest upon her arrival. She did not say anything particularly encouraging either and immediately gave such straightforward instructions. Shui Mengqi was left with no chance to retort at all. As she stood there and watched the crowd disperse, Shui Mengqi truly felt as if she was going to be driven mad. Was Lin Che here for the precise purpose of opposing her? But it was true that she had not expected this woman, who had always been a mere pretty face, to suddenly become so unyielding today. Just then, Lin Che turned her head around slowly and looked at Shui Mengqi who stood at the side. Feigning to have just seen her, Lin Che asked, "Oh, why is Miss Shui still here?" Hee, why was she still here? Shui Mengqi looked at the expression on Lin Che's face. It was clearly a mocking one. She said, "It's nothing. I'm about to leave, but since you've just taken over, you can ask me if there's anything you don't know." Oh, is that so? I don't think that will be necessary. I think Assistant Qin will know whatever I don't know. If Assistant Qin doesn't know, someone else will know too. Besides, although you're very capable, you haven't been to the headquarters before. I reckon there are many problems you're not familiar with. Don't worry. There's no need to worry about me. There are many people here. I trust that they will be able to teach me many things since they've all been in the headquarters for so many years. I'm so touched that you're so concerned about me. Shui Mengqi's face turned even paler. Yes, ultimately, she had never been to the headquarters either. And when she looked over, the capable people by Gu Jingze's side were all around Lin Che. Indeed, careless mistakes would not easily occur with them around. Shui Mengqi's heart started to feel tumultuous once again. Humph, there was nothing great about her. It was just because Gu Jingze had built the foundations for her. But the frustrating thing was that these people were actually going to abide by the instructions of an entertainer who knew nothing. Shui Mengqi left with a cold expression on her face. Lin Che looked in her direction and merely cast her a glance before turning her head. Then, she asked Qin Hao, "Is everything ready at the headquarters?" Qin Hao said, "Madam, don't worry. Everything is ready." Lin Che inhaled deeply. Have you arranged for people to investigate Gu Jingze's whereabouts?" "Yes, we're always on the lookout." "Very good. Let me know if there's any news. Now let's go to the headquarters." Gu Jingze opened his eyes slowly. The first thing he saw was a pink color. But the moment he lifted his head, he saw An Lan in front of him. He sat up immediately and moved backward warily. He looked at An Lan before looking at himself. It looked as if nothing had happened. It seemed that An Lan had not touched him. "Miss N, why am I here?" An Lan gazed at Gu Jingze. "We found you injured at the bottom of the cliff, so we brought you back." "You're injured. Quick, lie down." An Lan looked into Gu Jingze's beautiful eyes. She had just been looking at the sleeping man. He was so exquisite, just like a beautiful sculpture. She even wanted to reach out and touch him. Unfortunately, whether it was because he was too vigilant or whether it was a coincidence, the moment she reached out, he immediately opened his eyes. It was such a coincidence. After finding out that something had happened to Gu Jingze that day, she wondered to herself why something untoward had happened to such a good man. She also dispatched people to search for him. But she did not expect to find him in a bush. Because the bloodhound that had been brought there followed the smell of blood to the bush, so they managed to find the injured Gu Jingze in no time. As a result, she quickly brought him back. She hid this fact from everyone and brought him back to her own residence. Gu Jingze looked down at himself. The wound on his abdomen had probably been disinfected already. Due to the excessive blood loss, he felt slightly unwell. He looked at her. "Thank you very much for your help, Miss N." He tried to get down the bed but Lan hastily said, "You can't. You've lost too much blood. You need to rest. Don't move. If you need anything, I can get it for you." "No, it's just that there are many things to handle at home. I still have to rush back." And Lan's face took on a slightly hurt expression. "Are you going to back just like that?" Gu Jingze looked at her. "Why not?" And Lan narrowed her eyes and bit her lip. "I definitely won't let you leave." Gu Jingze said, "I still have a wife and children at home. I'm worried about them. Even so, I don't care. Since you're here, you must rest. This is my place. I saved you, so you owe me a life. Even if you insist on leaving, you have to see if my people here let you leave." Gu Jingze looked up. There were people everywhere outside. Security was very tight. Gu Jingze asked, "So, you're insisting on making me stay right now?" "I'm not trying to do anything else either. I just want you to rest, alright? Look, you can't even walk right now." He moved slightly. Indeed, his footsteps were extremely heavy. It seemed that this was the result of some drugs that had been injected into him. He glanced at her. She had given him a special drug that had caused this. Because he himself had used many drugs, he had immunity against most drugs. Since the drug was having such a significant effect now, it was probably not an ordinary drug. Chapter 1226 I1, T betray his trust. It appeared that if he wanted to leave this place he would really have to think through it carefully. It was actually Lin Che's first time at the so-called headquarters. The headquarters was not the Gu Industries building. That was the place where Gu Jingze worked. But this place seemed more like a palace. It was after going in that she realized that the facilities inside were very unique. There were many security and safety measures that looked very high-end. Qin Hao followed alongside Lin Che and carefully briefed her. This place already has more than 100 years of history, so there are some old Gothic elements in its architectural features. Back then, this area was occupied by Westerners. That's when we built the headquarters here. We've continued to use it until now. But the interior has been completely revamped. From the outside, this place looked like a typical cafe, except that it occupied a very large area. Perhaps Lin Che had passed by it before and seen people outside taking wedding photographs with the building behind them as their background. She had thought that this place was probably a special building that had been used as a hotel in the past and was now under conservation. But she did not expect this place to be the headquarters of the Gu Industries. "Madam, look, all the glass here is bulletproof glass. It can resist a very large degree of force. Some forms of artillery can't even break through it and get into the building. The regular operations of the headquarters are conducted upstairs. Downstairs there's another private room reserved for the master's use. Now since President Gu isn't around, you can use it too." Lin Che looked at Qin Hao. "Assistant Qin, thank you for trusting me so much and telling me all this." Qin Hao said, "Madam, President Gu has absolute trust in you. That's why we also have absolute trust in you. In the past, President Gu told us that if anything happened to the family we should let you take over everything." Lin Che looked at him. "Are you saying that Gu Jingze already told you this before?" Qin Hao nodded. "I don't know whether he said this to the others. But he did tell me this directly. He said that I could hand all these matters over to you. President Gu has no secrets when it comes to you. Thus, I won't have secrets when it comes to you either." Lin Che's heart twitched. Qin Hao said, "Furthermore, look at the people under President Gu. All of them have absolute trust in you. You can rest assured, since you're able to obtain their trust, it means that you're worthy of this trust. You won't disappoint President Gu." Lin Che did feel a bit anxious inside. But it was not the time for her to feel anxious now. She nodded and said to Qin Hao, "I'll try my best." She asked, "At the moment, we haven't found Gu Jingze yet." Qin Hao said, Given President Gu's wisdom, he will hide very well if he wishes to. It may not be very easy for us to find him. But the fact that there has been no bad news now means that President Gu has probably gone into hiding. I think you don't have to worry. Could she really? How could Lin Che possibly not worry? But hearing him say this, she did indeed feel slightly comforted. She inhaled deeply. She felt that there were many things which she had yet to accomplish. This was really not the time for her to be occupied with her sadness. Meanwhile, because something had happened back home all of a sudden, Gu Jingyu could not pick Su Wan up. But he nevertheless sent his driver to Su Wan's place. Su Wan was still in the dorms when she received the call. Over the phone, the driver said respectfully, "Miss Su, Mr. Gu has sent me to pick you up." Su Wan asked, "Pick me up? Where are you now?" "I'm already downstairs." Seeing as she had not really gotten herself ready, Su Wan could only quickly start to tidy up now. When her classmates returned to the dorm, they saw that she was packing her luggage. "No way. Are you moving out?" I may not be staying here for the time being." "The car downstairs can't be here to pick you up, right?" "Which one?" "Ah, looks like it's really here to fetch you." Her roommates looked at her. Their expressions immediately turned disdainful, but they continued putting up a front and saying envious words. "Seriously, did you get a boyfriend? Good gracious, we're so envious of you. You managed to get a boyfriend so soon, and you're even going to live together right now." "Precisely. He has such a great car. Your boyfriend must be very rich too." Su Wan could not possibly miss their sarcasm. She ignored them and casually packed up. Then, she said, "I'll be leaving now." She lifted her bags and went out hurriedly. Her roommates scoffed. She must have gotten a sponsor. "I saw. The person driving the car was an old man." I'm so jealous. I hate the situation. A new star in the film industry may just rise like this in the future. It's your fault for not looking for a man. I'm not that shameless, all right. Besides, I can't bring myself to sleep with that kind of old man either. So many beautiful girls in school moved elsewhere after getting sponsors midway through school. It was no longer a strange sight to them. It was all because there were many beautiful girls here. There were also many wealthy men with their eyes on this place for the precise purpose of finding women to keep as mistresses. After going downstairs, Su Wan immediately left in the car. When she arrived at the place, she saw that it was a standalone villa. It was much bigger than the villa she had imagined. From afar, it looked like a courtyard. At the front, there were more than 10 garages. She did not know if all of them had cars parked inside. After coming downstairs, the butler said, "Miss Su, right? Third young master isn't here today. There are some things he has to settle at home. He has gone to deal with them. You can move in first. The room is ready and everything has been prepared. Third young master may come back tonight." "Oh, thank you." Hearing that Gu Jingyu was not around, Su Wan heaved a huge sigh of relief. If they met now, she would not know how to face him. After all now, Gu Jingyu was unexpectedly the man who had sponsored her. He was her financial backer. After going in, she saw that the room was massive. To her surprise, they had already helped her prepare many pieces of clothing. When she opened the closet, there was a bunch of clothes that looked incomparably luxurious, from pajamas to undergarments to outerwear. She was amazed for a moment. Everyone said that the Gu family was different in C Nation. The reason why no one dared to provoke Gu Jingyu was not only because he was a superstar and an artist as precious as a national treasure. It was also because his family background was too robust. She sat on the bed, which had a very nice texture. She stroked it gently, feeling uneasy. However, just then, she heard a sound from outside. "Gu Jingyu, are you here? Are you here or not?" Su Wan froze. It was actually Lin Che. She hastily walked out. As expected, Lin Che had unexpectedly walked in. She immediately saw Su Wan. Lin Che herself froze. "You." Su Wan felt a wave of guilt and shame. She felt as if she had been caught in the act, leaving her with no place to hide. "I'm sorry, Sister Che Gu Jingyu and I didn't want to." If you want to hit me or scold me now, I'm fine with anything. Go ahead and hit me. Me? Lin Che stretched out her hand and pointed at herself. Why should I hit you? Aren't you and Gu Jingze together in a relationship? Su Wan asked. Chapter 12:27 I'll be your woman for 100 days. What boyfriend and girlfriend? Lin Che looked at Su Wan. As she looked at how she was behaving, she seemed to understand something all of a sudden. Surprised, she pointed her finger. Are you and Gu Jingze? Su Wan felt even more awkward. She looked down and said, I'm sorry. I know that this is an issue of defying morality. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I will leave and I will resign from the production. Also, I will stay far away from Gu Jingze. Hey. I think you've misunderstood something. Lin Che continued disbelievingly, there's nothing going on between Gu Jingze and me. Did you think we were together? Su Wan went blank. She had just been feeling guilty. Now, she was instead filled with confusion. Could it be that you're not? As expected. Lin Che looked at her. You've got it wrong. We're not together. He and I merely have some familial relations. We're also very good friends. Are you his girlfriend? I was wondering why he has been so out of it recently. So it was because of you. Out of it? That was impossible. How could he possibly be out of it because of her? She knew that Lin Che had probably misunderstood. But Su Wan did not know how to explain either. You're not a couple, she said while looking down. However, she heard someone else arrive outside. Lin Che, you were looking for me. Gu Jingze was back. After coming in, Gu Jingze immediately saw the two women unexpectedly standing together. It was so surprising that he paused. Afterward, he glanced at Su Wan meaningfully and said to Lin Che, let's talk outside. Lin Che also looked around before saying, oh, okay. Outside. Gu Jingze said, I just went to the headquarters. They said that you had already left. Lin Che sighed and said, I don't know what to do either. But I need your support right now. Gu Jingze said, of course, I will always support you. Although the clan relatives have been scared off by me for the time being, I believe that the people who hurt Gu Jingze must be among them. Furthermore, we haven't found out father's whereabouts too. They didn't expect me to directly take charge of Gu Jingze's subordinates. They also didn't expect that his subordinates would be willing to obey my command. They were slightly shocked initially. Once they go back and regroup after the setback, they will come for us again. Gu Jingze asked, in that case, what do you want? I want your personal guards. Mine, Gu Jingze continued, sure. I'll give them to you. Lin Che's eyes shifted. You must consider it carefully. Those are your personal guards. If you hand them over to me now, what are you going to do? If I don't do a good job and there are casualties and injuries, that will be irreversible. When that happens, those losses will be yours. Gu Jingze looked at her. Since second brother trusts you so much, how can I not trust you? Go ahead, tell me what you want to do. I will stand on your side no matter what. Exactly. Just then, Black Hawk also walked in from behind. Seeing that Black Hawk was actually here, Lin Che was slightly surprised for a moment. Why are you? Black Hawk said, I went to the Gu family's headquarters to look for you. They said that you had gone looking for Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze looked at Black Hawk and said to Lin Che, besides, you still have so many people to back you up. So what are you afraid of? Black Hawk said, you're too much. How could you keep this from me? After the matter had broken out, Lin Che had yet to tell Black Hawk about it. Because Black Hawk was not a part of the Gu family after all. She was slightly concerned and worried that others would falsely accuse her of working with Black Hawk to do this and that after finding out that she had told him. Lin Che looked at him. In that case, who told you? Nianian, he said. Lin Che came to a sudden realization. She had forgotten about Nianian. Lin Che said, of course I think it's great to have help from you guys. Thank you. Black Hawk said, it's only right for an elder brother to help his younger sister out. Come on, let me take you out for a meal first. Just by looking at you, I can tell that you must not have eaten yet. Indeed, she was so busy that she had even forgotten to eat. But right now, she did not feel that hungry either. Seeing this, Gu Jingze added, "That's right. Let's go out and eat together then. I haven't eaten too." "No need. You guys can go and eat. I'm not hungry yet. It makes no difference if I eat when I get back." Gu Jingze said, "No way. How can you not eat? If you don't eat and you make yourself collapse first, how will you help second brother?" It made sense when Lin Che thought about it. She said, "All right then. Let's go and eat together." She knew that these two people only wanted to eat together because they wanted to watch over her and stop her from letting her imagination run wild. She felt that it was better for her to accept their good intentions. Before turning around, Lin Che said, "By the way, ask Su-won to come along with us. I saw her inside." Gu Jingze frowned. "No need." Lin Che asked, "Why is there no need? How will she eat otherwise?" "All right, she has probably eaten already. We can just eat on our own." Not allowing Lin Che to say anything more, the two of them had already pulled her away. Gu Jingze returned only at night. He went into the room and looked at Su-won. Su-won had initially been reading the script. The moment she saw Gu Jingze, she hastily jumped off the bed. Su-won said, "You're back." Gu Jingze immediately lay down and looked at Su-won. "You're not allowed to tell anyone that you saw Lin Che. Otherwise, you'll suffer the consequences." "Huh, oh, okay, I understand." Su-won thought for a bit before saying, "I thought that you two were together." Gu Jingze said, "No. She's my sister-in-law. Are you mad? I'm together with her." "Sister-in-law?" Su-won asked. "She's married." "To your brother?" Su-won seriously felt that she had embarrassed herself greatly. But if it was Gu Jingze's brother, then which one was it? Gu Jingze had two elder brothers. One was the current Mr. President Gu Jingming. That was impossible. Madam President was always in plain view of everyone. There was no way it was Lin Che. It appeared that his other elder brother was the low-profile tycoon Gu Jingze. Could it be that Lin Che was already married to Gu Jingze? Everyone had no knowledge of Gu Jingze at the moment. They did not know if he was married either. There was also no information or news circulating outside. As for Lin Che, there had never been any news of her being married. Judging from this, they were probably married. So this was the actual situation. Su-won thought, no wonder Lin Che had such a different aura. Apart from the fact that she herself was already a movie star, she was also Madame Gu. It was no surprise that the people around Lin Che were all so formidable. So all those bodyguards were not to be trifled with. Now that she thought about it, they indeed shared similarities with those bodyguards around Gu Jingze. Su-won said, "I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought that the two of you." Gu Jingze looked at Su-won and asked, "You thought that we were together?" He beckoned Su-won over with his finger. Su-won's face turned completely red and she dared not move. Gu Jingze raised his eyebrows. "Your face is red now. Why wasn't your face red when you came up to me and asked me to save you that day?" Gu Jingze pulled her towards him in one swift motion and pressed her down onto the bed directly. He looked at Su-won. "Don't worry. As long as you don't do anything during this time to make things difficult for me, like getting involved with some other men or something, I won't do anything to you. I'm not a beast either. You don't have to be so scared of me." He looked at Su-won. Her cheeks were red and they entertained his wild thoughts of wanting to ravage her. She said, "All right, in that case, we've agreed that after 100 days, After 100 days, what? She had already started to think about leaving him after 100 days. Chapter 1228 Someone actually dared to disobey. We'll talk about these things after 100 days. While saying this, Gu Jingze had pressed himself on her firmly. They had yet to find Gu Jingze, but some people in the Gu family were already starting to get restless. Shui Mengqi followed everyone to attend a meeting together. On the way, someone looked in front at the Gu family's headquarters in the distance and said, "I really can't imagine what the situation will look like with that entertainer sitting there." Another person said, "Just thinking about it makes me feel sick. Her sitting on the master's seat. We can't let that happen today. We must pull her down from that position today. Why should she be the one sitting there? However, Shui Mengqi stayed completely silent at the back. It was only at the end of the meeting that she said coolly to everyone, "Don't be impatient. She doesn't know anything. It's only right that we yield to her. She knows nothing, but she's still sitting in that position. Why should she be there? No way. Regardless, I won't agree to it no matter what." Shui Mengqi's calm and mild words made them even more furious. With that, they entered the headquarters in a row. The place where Gu Jingze usually sat was now occupied by Lin Che. She was dressed in a simple outfit and was no different from how she usually was. But for some reason, maybe because she was sitting there was a hint of faint harshness on her brow. While looking straight ahead expressionlessly, she threw the documents directly onto the table. "Since Gu Jingze has left, all of us aren't doing anything, right?" She did not know if they were deliberately making things difficult for her. Lin Che could tell that these people had basically been on strike for the past few days. They had not handed up any reports at all. They had not handed up any of the documents that were part of the usual practice. Were they deliberately putting her in her place by doing this? After she had slammed the documents on the table, everyone's hearts thumped. Shui Mengqi looked at her. Qin Hao was standing beside her and her secretary stood beside the huge office chair. There was a stack of papers in the secretary's hands. She took the documents from the secretary with one hand. Her attitude with that simple move was slightly overbearing. The master of the Gu family had so much capital being transferred to and fro under his hands. He had so many people around him helping him to plan. He was like an emperor of a kingdom. With a raise or drop of his hand, he could control the entire lives of so many people. Putting all else aside, just the people sitting in this room alone already possessed half the wealth in C Nation. These people were all clan relatives of the Gu family. But now, they had to listen to her command. Thus, she had no choice but to appear imposing. Regardless of who it was, the person on the seat literally became the symbol of money. After all, that was the apex of the entire kingdom. Standing there was like standing at the top of the world. How could Shui Mengqi not want to sit there? But unfortunately, she was a clan relative. No matter what, she could not climb to that position. That was why she wanted the position of the mistress so much. That way, she could still get closer to that place. But look at the current situation. She had plotted for so long to become the mistress, but she had unexpectedly failed. On top of that, she had to watch this detestable woman sit at the top with all the king's horses and all the king's men at her command. She genuinely felt insane jealousy. The people below looked at Lin Che and scoffed coldly. No one reminded us to hand up anything to anyone. Precisely. Besides, there are some important and confidential documents. We don't know if we should or shouldn't hand them up either. On top of that, we don't know whether or not you understand them. My point exactly. Lin Che laughed grimly. So, all of you are defying the Gu family's rules and planning to retaliate against the Gu family's order. Anyone who defied the Gu family's rules would be severely punished. Some people came out barely alive after going in. There was no exception. This extended upwards to the master and downwards to all the clan relatives. Thus, at the mention of the family rules, everyone was still fearful to a certain extent. They looked at each other before looking at Lin Che. But you're not the master. Lin Che said, I've already said that I will take over the master's position for the time being. Ha, you're the master because you say so. Someone stood up and said bluntly, you didn't ask for our opinion the last time too. You simply said that you were going to be the temporary substitute for the master and take charge of the headquarters. Why should you be the one to take charge just because you say so? You should at least gather everyone's opinion and discuss it with us. Fine. In that case, let's discuss. Lin Che had already predicted that they would definitely cause trouble when they came today. She stood up slowly and looked at the people down below. Now, I'm telling you that I will step into the shoes of the master. Who's going to oppose? Many of the people below raised their hands. Lin Che cast a sweeping glance at them. Majority of these people were those who would stand on the Shui family's side. All right, well then, how many people vote in favor of it? She could count on her fingers the number of people who raised their hands. It was obvious that they were all from Gu Jingze's camp. There were also a few people who, considering their own interests, felt that it was better for her to be in that position instead of the Shui family. Meanwhile, the corners of Shui Mengqi's lips started to quirk up slightly. While looking at these people, she stealthily switched to a better position and sat down. She appeared very happy to watch the fun. At this moment, I vote in favor. Gu Jingyu suddenly walked in from the back. Seeing this, everyone thought he was here to stir up trouble again. I vote in favor too. However, Gu Jingming also came in after him. He walked in with large strides, appearing extremely calm. Oh, this place is so lively today. I'm here just in time to join in the fun. The person who entered behind him was Black Hawk. When they saw that Black Hawk had entered the headquarters, everyone immediately stood up, surprised. Lin Che, what do you mean by this? Letting an outsider enter the Gu family's headquarters. Lin Che looked at them before looking at Black Hawk. I never told them to come here. Black Hawk said, exactly. Lin Che didn't tell me to come. But I knew the location of the Gu family's headquarters anyway because Gu Jingze brought me here before. They were still afraid of Black Hawk as a person. This person had always been vicious and merciless. Who knew what he would do to hurt them? It was true that Lin Che dared not lay a hand on them. But this was not necessarily so for Black Hawk. Black Hawk said, Gu Jingze brought me here because he trusts me. It has nothing to do with Lin Che. Ha, everyone knows that she's your younger sister. How can your presence here have nothing to do with her? Oh, so you guys know that she's my younger sister. And now, you're still going to bully my younger sister in front of me. What did he mean? What was he going to do? Black Hawk cocked his head to the side and said, I'm on Lin Che's side. Lin Che and Gu Jingze are married, to begin with. Since they're a couple, it doesn't matter which one of them is the master. They agreed on it after discussing amongst themselves. Now, all of Gu Jingze's subordinates have absolute trust in Lin Che. All of you are in no place to distrust her. Ha, why should an outsider like you have a say in these matters? Someone stood up and shouted. Just then, Gu Jingyu said from behind, oh, Black Hawk is an outsider, but I definitely can't be one, right? I also vote in favor of having Lin Che take over the position of the master temporarily. Chapter 1229 A Child, S3 Gu Jingming added, that's right. We can't deal with this because our positions restrict us. However, Lin Che can substitute us and deal with these trifles. I nominate her as well. These few prominent figures had all stood on Lin Che's side all of a sudden. At this moment, someone else stood up fearlessly and said, if the minority submits to the majority, she can't possibly be the temporary substitute. We would rather have Jingming or Jingyu take charge for the time being. They clearly knew that it was impossible for Gu Jingming to act for Gu Jingze. As for Gu Jingyu, he had never been exposed to the family's internal matters. Gu Jingze's subordinates definitely would not obey his command too. That was why he had intentionally said it. At this moment, you guys are trying to bully my mother because you know that my father isn't around and there are no other men in my family, right? Just then, a slightly young-sounding voice traveled from the back. It was cold and laced with anger. They turned their heads to take a look. There were a few people trailing behind Gu Xinian. They walked in together with steady steps. Everyone recognized Gu Xinian. As Gu Jingze's eldest son, he was also the eldest grandson in that generation of the Gu family. Of course, everyone knew that his position and status was different from others. On top of that, this child simply looked different from other children. Despite being young, he had an imposing aura about him. Right now, there were 4 people behind him. They stood separately on either side and he walked between them. He was wearing a neat little dress shirt. His hair was clean and his face was fair. He looked just like a little angel, but there was a slightly cold aura about him. When the others looked at his eyes, it was as if they were looking at his biological father who had recently disappeared. He was just as cold. The people down below had not expected this child to step forward at this time. Why did he rush here now? This child was about to turn 5 and still looked tiny. However, when he looked at people, he was extremely aloof and cold. Although people felt that he was good-looking, they really could not bring themselves to like him. The main reason was because they stood on Lin Che's opposing side, and he was Lin Che's son. They made way for him. Gu Xinian stood there and looked at everyone. Lin Che gazed at Gu Xinian. Nianian, what are you doing here? Gu Xinian looked up. Mother, father isn't around, so I'm the only man in the family now. Of course, I must be present. Lin Che's heart warmed. This child was truly frustrating. But at the same time, he was so sensible. At such a young age, he knew to protect his mother. Lin Che stood together with Gu Xinian and looked at the people in front of them. Someone below gazed at Gu Xinian. At first, he was slightly subdued by this child. Afterward, he said, "Hey, this place isn't a kindergarten. Lin Che, can you please take your child away first?" Lin Che said, "This place belongs to the Gu family. My son is the eldest son of the Gu family. Why can't he be here?" Ha! If anyone must leave, it should be someone else. He's probably the person most qualified to stand here. At these words, the relatives present who did not bear the surname Gu had slightly displeased expressions on their faces for a moment. This was especially so for the person who had stood up earlier to speak. Someone else said, "But he's not even 5 years old. What does he know? Take him away. He will only cause trouble here. If he hears something and tells the other children in the kindergarten, that won't be good." He was not polite when he said this either. He waved his hand directly as a signal for the people beside him to take this child away. But he could not have foreseen what happened next. Gu Xinian looked at the people who had approached him and suddenly raised his hand. There was a bang. It was a gunshot. Everyone was still unaware of what had happened. Then, they saw that Gu Xinian had a pistol in his hand that was still emitting smoke. In front of him, the man who just taken a few steps towards him looked down at his own chest in disbelief. At the precise position of his heart, blood was streaming down little by little. In the end, the blood gathered into a puddle and the man collapsed onto the ground all of a sudden. The people sitting down all stood up immediately and looked at the boy who stored his gun away efficiently. He had killed someone. They could not believe that Gu Xinian had directly killed someone here. Lin Che froze as well, only to see Gu Xinian say coldly, "The headquarters represents the power and prestige of the Gu family. How dare a security guard throw his weight around here? This is in contravention of the Gu family's rules. Which family does this security guard belong to? I've helped you teach him a lesson. I hope you won't need me to do it personally the next time." Everyone was even more shocked. This child. Unexpectedly, he was extremely familiar with the family rules. Furthermore, he was a cruel and immediate enforcer of the rules. Indeed, in this place, no one could defy the family rules and oppose the master. Because the headquarters was the symbol of power and prestige, to begin with. At first, Lin Che was slow to react. But this was not the time for her to be indecisive. She looked at the state of shock happening in front of her. Everyone's faces had already lost their color. She pursed her lips. Does anyone else want to say something? How can he do this? Lin Che, how did you educate your child? How can he kill someone? He's from my family. You killed him without even giving me an explanation. The people below were about to go into a frenzy again. However, just then, Gu Xinian waved his hand. The people behind him immediately raised their guns. They were pointing the machine guns in their hands at everyone in front of them. The clan relatives were immediately triggered to anger. One of them said bluntly, "Fantastic. You're going to kill us, right? You're going to use violence to suppress us, right? Come on, it's not like we didn't bring our guns or something." The people below instantly raised their guns as well. Just like that, the two sides got into a direct confrontation. However, just then, Black Hawk scoffed and said directly, "Sure. Let's have a go at it then. We'll see who has more guns and who has better marksmanship." In no time, Black Hawk's men were suddenly up in arms at the back. The smell of smoke spread throughout the entire room. The sudden anxiety in the atmosphere was nearly about to suck everyone dry. Lin Che gritted her teeth and looked at everyone. Meanwhile, the Gu family's clan relatives also looked at the people across them. It went without saying that each and every one of Gu Xinian's subordinates and Gu Jingze's subordinates were the cream of the crop. All of the most capable people in the Gu family were with Gu Jingze. As for Black Hawk's men, although they had not received sufficient training, putting aside the fact that they were all very experienced having been trained on the battlefield, all of them were also veterans who had survived storms of shots and shells. As for their own men, over the past few years, apart from having fairly good equipment, all of them lacked training and were definitely not up for the task. At this moment, Lin Che slammed the table. Are you still aware that this place is the Gu family's headquarters? The row of people looked at Lin Che. The documents that Lin Che held in her hand were immediately thrown onto the long table in front of her. The documents that she had suddenly thrown flew everywhere. Some of them were thrown onto the faces of the people in front. The crowd froze. Then, Lin Che said with a cold expression, "Now, those who still consider themselves part of the Gu family, put down your guns, listen to my command, and assist me in my work properly during this time. Otherwise, I can take it that you're breaking away from the Gu family of your own accord." The people in front were in a slight panic. They looked at Lin Che's camp before looking at the ground, at the person who had just died. If they fought, they would not win. Furthermore, these people were definitely not playing around and would really kill people. If they dared to say they were going to break away, then they would probably be dealt with by a gunshot. If they did not break away but nevertheless wanted to oppose her, then they would be defying the family rules. They would also be dealt with by a gunshot. Did they have any other choice? 12:30 Where to find such a good man? The vigor that was still in a few people gradually died down. They reluctantly made their subordinates put down the guns. Then, they slowly sat down and obediently picked up the documents in front of them. Suddenly, it was clear who was victorious. Shui Mengqi looked at these people, and then at Lin Che. She did not have many supporters, but each one of them was a powerhouse. And needless to say, this son of hers. Shui Mengqi looked angrily at this kid. What kind of person was he to be so ruthless at such a young age? However, she could not deny that one had to be ruthless at this point in time, or things would not get done. Lin Che finally settled the matters. When Lin Che looked at Gu Xinian, she said, "Nianian, you." Gu Xinian gazed back at Lin Che. "Mom, don't worry about me. I will protect you when Dad is not around." Lin Che's eyes watered. "Silly boy, I should be the one protecting you." "Mom, women should be protected. As a man, how can I stand behind a woman?" Lin Che laughed, looked at him, and suddenly remembered something. "Why are you in here?" Gu Xinian glanced at Black Eagle at the side. "Uncle told me." Lin Che had a bad feeling. "And did you teach him what to do just now?" Not mentioning anything else, that scene just now seemed a little like Black Eagle's style. Black Eagle chuckled. "No, how can that be?" Lin Che bit her lip. Black Eagle said, "Furthermore, he's going to be the house head sooner or later, isn't he? He can gain a little experience in advance." Lin Che also knew that Gu Xinian would most likely end up walking down this path, but now was also an important time. Lin Che had no other choice. Her heart just kind of ached for this child. Looking down at Gu Xinian, the only male in the house now, he was really protecting Xiuan and her. Black Eagle picked Gu Xinian up. "All right, let's head back." Black Eagle looked at him. "You handled the gun pretty well." "I was so close. I wanted to hit his head but he was too tall. I was worried that I'd miss." "Yes, that's right. It's actually not good to aim for the head, because if the bullet goes through the head, the brain juices will spill out. Tisk tisk, it'll be too messy." Lin Che took Gu Xinian home while Black Eagle sent them back before heading home himself. Mu Feiren saw that Black Eagle was home and heaved a sigh of relief. "How did it go? Is everything fine with Lin Che?" Black Eagle said, "Don't worry. Everything is fine." "That's good." Mu Feiren was very worried. Lin Che had to face such a huge problem alone and the Gu family was no ordinary family. It must have been tough to manage. Thinking about it scared her. but Lin Che bravely mustered up the courage. This must have been the result of being in love with a man like Gu Jingze. It was inevitable that she had to endure certain things. In comparison, Mu Feiren's current problems could not be deemed as problems anymore. She said, "Take a seat. I'm going to cook." Okay. With Mu Feiren around, this house suddenly felt like home. Black Eagle turned to watch. Mu Feiren wore an apron as she skillfully cut the vegetables and cooked them. Soon after, the aroma filled the entire room. Once Black Eagle saw that the dish was ready, he went to take it out. Mu Feiren said, "Just leave it. I'll do it myself. It's a physically demanding job. Let me serve the food." Mu Feiren burst out laughing. "How is this physically demanding? You see, Lin Che doesn't even know how to boil water at home. You should learn from her. Leave things to others when you can." They had attendants at home, but Mu Feiren still insisted on cooking personally. She would ask the attendants to leave during lunch hours. Mu Feiren said, "That's because Lin Che is silly. She might set the whole house on fire trying to boil water. Don't worry, I can cook and I've always done it on my own. It's not tiring." Black Eagle held her hand and said, "But I don't want you to be tired." Mu Feiren blushed. "Eat more and then I won't feel tired." Okay. Black Eagle took her words seriously and started eating. He polished up every morsel of food. She wondered if the food was really that delicious or if he was doing it to please her. When they were done, Mu Feiren got up. Black Eagle said, "Don't move. I'll do it." "Huh, no, let me." She stood up but Black Eagle pressed her down. "Your hands are so tender. The dishwashing liquid is bad for your skin. My skin is thick and rough, so it's okay for me. Shouldn't men stay out of the kitchen?" She thought that such a powerful man like Black Eagle probably would not enter the kitchen. Mu Feiren normally cooked. It was like that in the past too. She would cook at home during her breaks and call Mo Ding over to eat with her. But Mo Ding would never enter the kitchen. Sometimes when Mu Feiren needed his help, he would impatiently tell her to get the nanny to do it. Occasionally, he would not want Mu Feiren to do any chores as he was worried that the dishwashing liquid would damage her skin and affect her endorsements. Perhaps, the more capable a man truly was, the more he would not nitpick on all these and love his woman more. Mu Feiren watched Black Eagle's back as he did the chores in the kitchen. Her heart was warm. When Black Eagle was done, he looked at the time and said, "You rest at home. I'll go pick Union up." "Ah, I'll go pick her. You've been busy the whole day." "It's fine, driving is not tiring. Furthermore, I haven't seen Union for a day. I'll go." Mu Feiren thought that he was really like a father. As she thought about it, she was in awe of how Black Eagle could be so good. What had she ever done to meet such a good man? Just then, Mu Feiren's phone rang. It was her mother. She asked, "Why do I hear that you're with a big shot?" Mu Feiren asked speechlessly, "It's a big shot this time. Not a hooligan anymore." "Ah, I had no idea the last time. You should have said that you were with a rich guy earlier. Then, I wouldn't have been so worried about you getting cheated." Mu Feiren asked in puzzlement, "Why? A rich person won't cheat me, but a poor person will. That rich guy has nothing else he needs from you. How can he cheat you?" Mu Feiren really was speechless. Was she nothing other than a golden goose? She asked, "Mom, how did you know about all this? People say you have been driving out in different luxury cars every day and you're staying in a villa bigger than your own. Is it that guy who came over the other day? What does he do? What company is he from? How is he so rich?" Mu Feiren said, "Oh, I don't know either." "Oh my, you have to know that. Tell me his name and I'll help you look into him. There are a lot of scammers pretending to be super rich these days."